Focus here at MPL. We're going to be talking about things coming out in February. I'm Nicole, joined by Ash and the lovely Miranda. If you have any questions, feel free to volley them our way. We like to start out with some sure bets, some authors with name recognition that you're probably aware of. We want to highlight that they're coming out this month so you can get on hold for them. The newest from Mary Kubica. In this one, two families vacationing at a secluded lake resort are the center of a chilling crime and mysterious disappearance in this twisty thriller. The newest from Allie Hazelwood focuses on enemies to lovers, a spicy novella set in the world of video gaming. The newest by Brad Thor is going to center on a vanishing plane, an earth-shattering secret, and a big storm, all leading up to the start of World War II. The newest from Kate Quinn for our book lovers poses the question, have you ever wished you could live inside a book? Welcome to the Estoril Library, where books are doors to new worlds, new lives, and new futures. More Than Enough focuses on a woman finding herself asking surprising questions about her family and friends in this wise novel of life, loss, and moving on. Trust No One is a standalone thriller that thrusts a group of university students falsely accused of murder into a treacherous hunt across Europe to unlock secrets buried within a centuries-old book. Lots going on in that one, my goodness. Jigsaw, beloved Alex Delaware is back, and this electrifying thriller, psychologist Alex Delaware and Detective Milo Sturgis take on two very different female murder victims, leading back to the same shocking killer. Wolf Hour also has a juxtaposition element going on. Takes place in Minneapolis. This crime thriller is going to focus on the same story told 6 years apart. Readers will start in 2016 when a small-time gun dealer is shot in the street and a suspended police officer is investigating the case. And then 6 years later when this cold case is pulled apart by a crime writer wanting to write a book about it. Now for some nonfiction big names.
People Can Fly by Joshua Bennett. Through a hybrid of memoir and cultural history, award-winning poet and MIT Distinguished Chair Joshua Bennett explores Black prodigies in a society where Blackness is abject and seen as an absence of intelligence. Freedom Lost, Freedom Won by Eugene Robinson, Pulitzer Prize winner and former Washington Post columnist, describes our nation's tumultuous Black history from the beginning to now, bringing to life 200 years of history through the eyes of his own family. In Rage and the Republic by Jonathan Turley, on the eve of the nation's 250th anniversary, Turley explores the origins of American democracy, comparing our origins to other revolutions and challenges whether or not our way of life can survive in the rapidly changing world. Food Fix Uncensored by Mark Hyman is not a diet book, but an indictment. This revised, fully expanded edition challenges accepted normalized chronic diseases, broken food systems made acceptable for profit, and if medicine can be replaced with a healthy diet. Red Dawn Over China by Frank Decoder explores Russia's propaganda in China in the early to mid-1900s and the impact that Russia has had on China throughout the century and the conflicts with America and Japan that ultimately turned China into the communist juggernaut it is today. Work in Progress by James Martin is a hilarious memoir that details his early years from childhood to working in a slew of dead-end, underpaid jobs with no training, from busboy to dishwasher, to caddy, to usher, to factory worker, to bank teller, to corporate tool, and eventually a Jesuit priest. American Struggle by John Meacham. Meacham explores a rich and diverse collection of American history from 1619 to today, using primary source documents to explore the complex and tumultuous issues the country is divided over to this day. And in End of Days by Chris Jennings, he explores the Ruby Ridge siege of 1992, where a white supremacist group fought federal agents who were seeking Randy Weaver over a gun charge and failure to appear, lasting 11 days and ending with the death of Weaver's wife, son, and dog, as well as one U.S. Marshal. Nora Murphy has Ours is a Tale of Murder. In a quiet neighborhood, 3 families live side by side, each hiding secrets that don't belong behind white picket fences. Clara and Troy appear to be the perfect couple, though something about them feels wrong. Mary, prepping to sell her home, is haunted by her past as she clears out her son's room. Meanwhile, Henry, newly unemployed and living with his parents, watches the neighborhood closely and senses that nothing is as it seems. As hidden truths surface, murder weaves its way through their lives, revealing a darkness no one expected, except perhaps the one who planned it all. Reader likes for this are going to be Melissa Adelman's What the Neighbors Saw. When Alexis and her husband Sam move into an exclusive DC suburb, their seemingly perfect life takes a dark turn after their neighbor is found murdered along the Potomac River. As the investigation exposes hidden tensions and long-buried secrets, Alexis grows close to the victim's widow. When the truth finally surfaces, both women must decide how far they're willing to go to protect their lives they've created. And in Block Party by Jamie Day, the residents of an exclusive cul-de-sac hide a web of secrets and scandals until a murder shatters the neighborhood during the annual summer block party. As the story rewinds one year, rivalries and betrayals surface, revealing that the true danger has been lurking among them all along. The Copywriter by Daniel Popik. Set in the summer of 2017, The Copywriter follows D, a poet turned copywriter, as he senses his life and work quietly unraveling amid a hollow startup culture, a strained relationship, and the surreal backdrop of early Trump-era America. To make sense of the unease, D keeps a notebook of dreams, memories, emails, and imagined parables, searching for hidden patterns that might explain art, labor, and existence. Over 2 years, the novel traces the absurd rhythms of office life and asks how an artist can find meaning in work that feels fundamentally meaningless. Lyrical, comic, and quietly philosophical, the book explores how modern labor shapes not just our days, but our inner lives and creative souls. Reader likes for this are going to be 1004 by Ben Lerner. In a New York beset by superstorms and social unrest, the narrator of 1004 confronts sudden literary success, a serious medical diagnosis, and the challenge of helping his best friend conceive a child. Against this backdrop, he grapples with mortality, fatherhood, and what it means to live in a world where the future feels increasingly uncertain. And in Outline by Rachel Cusk, a woman writer travels to Athens in the height of summer to teach a course, but instead becomes a listener to a chain of stories from the people she meets, from a fellow passenger on her flight to locals she encounters in the city. As their tales of love, loss, family, and creativity unfold, she gradually shapes and is shaped by their narratives, exploring the delicate balance between self-expression and self-effacement.
The Final Problem by Arturo Perez Revete. This is his newest. It is described as a whip-smart, locked-room mystery, perfect for fans of Anthony Horowitz and Benjamin Stevenson. It is set on an idyllic Greek island in the 1960s. We find ourselves following Ormond Basil, who is a washed-up screen actor who's played a multitude of detectives. He has to put his on-screen skills to the test when a fellow tourist ends up dead and secrets are revealed. So naturally, my read likes for this are going to be Anthony Horowitz and Benjamin Stevenson. The first in Stevenson's series is Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. I chose this not just because of the description, but because it has a very similar, it's described as having a very similar tone and style to The Final Problem. It is a unique locked-in mystery that with a sassy narrator, a large cast of characters, and likes to take fun, entertaining looks at some of the tropes that fall into mysteries. So an excellent read-alike. The other one I selected was The Word is Murder by Anthony Horowitz, and it's because it has a similar premise of a person who's not really a detective but has connections to that profession, finding themselves in a situation where they have to solve a murder. In this one, mystery author Anthony Horowitz finds himself working with Daniel Hawthorne as they investigate the death of Diana Cowper, a wealthy mother of a famous actress, after she is found strangled in her own home. This is described as a well-plotted mystery full of twists, turns, and shenanigans.
I'm very excited for The Keeper of Lost Children. This focuses on an American woman who had a vision after World War II, and in this one, her vision will tie together lives in unexpected ways and through several storylines. Storylines include, on the rubble streets of occupied Germany, Ethel, the wife of an American soldier, stumbles upon a covenant who is caring for mixed-race children, and she wants to know more. On another storyline, we'll follow Ozzy as he joins the Army in 1948, hoping to escape racism. And in 1965, Sophia is invited to integrate at a prestigious boarding school in Maryland. And when getting to know her classmates, she uncovers a family secret. The Keeper of Lost Children was inspired by a true story of a family who worked to get American orphans out of World War II adopted here in America. It explores themes of love, family, and being accepted, and early reviews suggest it is well-researched, unique, tender, and heartfelt. Plenty of read-alikes if you like the World War II angle, or if you like the historic take on racism and integrating schools, so I focused here on some adoption read-alikes. If you haven't already before We Were Yours, please go check it out. There's 2 copies. I keep an extra one on hand so I can hand it out as much as possible. It's beautifully written and emotional, a 1930s piece about siblings struggling growing up in and out of an orphanage. Somewhere Sisters is narrative nonfiction at its finest, gripping and heartfelt. Identical twins born in Vietnam are raised completely separately after being adopted, and we will see them reunite in their teens. One True Word is a bestseller over in Iceland, and now it's been translated for us to enjoy. A rare trip to an uninhabited island with her husband, Julia is at her breaking point beyond mad. She makes a reckless, quick decision and ditches her husband in a freezing fjord. She regrets her decision, she turns back to go save his bud, and he's nowhere to be found. So, Julia's now in the hot seat with the local police, and a web of secrets and lies will be untangled. Reads like The Mist. In this one, set in the 1980s, there's an isolated farmhouse in Iceland, and all the guests, invited or not, are snowed in. Not all the guests will make it to the morning. If you want a more tropical thriller alternative, I picked up Something in the Water. We meet Eric, Erin, and Mark on their honeymoon in Bora Bora. They find something scuba diving that will change their lives forever if they can keep the right secrets and tell the right lies.
All We Have Is Time by Amy Tordoff. This is a debut romantasy with magical twists. In this, Beatrix has become jaded. Immortality will do that to you. When she meets Oliver, a time traveler, she begins to see her life anew, and sparks fly in this dreamy, bittersweet romance. My first read-alike, because it has a very similar premise, is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. A young woman makes a Faustian deal to gain immortality and has become jaded because of her lonely life, but everything changes when a young man actually remembers her name, described as a dazzling adventure that plays across centuries and continents. The other read-alike I have is The Everlasting by Ali E. Harrow, also because of a similar premise, and it is a bit genre-bendy, just like All We Have Is Time. In this, we have a featured female knight and a less than heroic historian who must fight through time and space to rewrite their tragic fates revealing the truths hidden beneath the greatest legend ever told. And it's described as being full of fun historical fantasy and lovable, quirky characters. The next one is The Midnight Taxi. It is set in New York City. In this, Siri Wati has never imagined being a taxi driver, still living with her parents at age 28. She loves She loves true crime podcasts that keep her company as she drives her route. They are a far cry, however, from the legal career she had originally imagined. When the last fare of the night turns up dead in her back seat, she must race the clock to clear her name in this fun, cleverly plotted mystery. The first read-alike I have is the Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James, because of its focus on a true crime podcaster who finds herself trying to put the pieces together from an older crime, and it focuses on a true crime podcaster named Shay who is trying to put her life together while also piecing together a murder from the 1970s. It results in a rare interview with the accused murderess. As Shay and Beth meet, she begins to question everything she thought she knew about her hometown. The other read-alike I have is The Maid by Nita Prose. This one I chose because of its similar premise of someone having to quickly clear their name because of the coincidence of finding a body. In this, Molly discovers she has more friends than she originally thought. She becomes the prime suspect after she discovers the body of a wealthy guest at the hotel. It's described as a clue-like, locked-in mystery with fun characters and a heartwarming story that explores what it means to be the same and different all at once.
It was One of Us by Elizabeth Day. In this one, Fleece, F-L-I-S-S, I've never seen that name before. Maybe Fleece, I don't know. Fleece is the eccentric grown daughter of the wealthy Fitzmaurice clan. She's found dead on the beach in Bali. And what first seems like a tragic accident soon stirs suspicion. Through several interwoven stories, the family unravels under the pressure of secrets and the story of how they really ascended the ladder to success and made all their money. We'll get to know Fleece's brother, who seems really eager to move on past his sister's dying, her former best friend, who seems to be using this as an opportunity to get close to the family again, her cousin, Cosmina, who's fighting the family and is against everything and all the wealth that they've acquired and everything they stand for. One of Us is described as darkly funny and a commentary on the hypocrisies of the elite in our society. Reads like Just My Luck. In this one, Lexi and Jake have been playing the same lottery numbers for 15 years with some of their friends. They've grown up their kids together, drinks, dinner parties, barbecues. They've been through it all. They're really having just a lovely, family friends kind of thing until a secret is revealed, okay? And then as the group starts to fray and fall out over the secret, bam, their lottery numbers hit, okay? So what are they gonna do next? A riveting look at the dark side of wealth and friendship. Also check out Anatomy of a Scandal. Sophie's husband is a successful, loving husband and father, and yet now he's accused of a terrible crime. Sophie is convinced of his innocence and wants to protect her family from the lies threatening to tear them apart. Kate is the prosecuting attorney who wants the truth and uncovers the past Sophie is not ready to hear about.
In her defense by Philippa Malika, everyone is watching as beloved TV star Anna Finbo accuses her daughter's therapist, Jean Guest, of manipulating Mary for financial gain. Jean insists Mary's traumatic memories stem from her upbringing and time at a prestigious art school in Rome, which only her therapy can heal. But it's Augusta Gus Bird, Anna's former employee, who holds the key to untangling the web of lies and deception. As the trial unfolds, the truth about Mary's past and whether her memories can be trusted comes dangerously close to being revealed. Real likes are gonna be When We Were Bright and Beautiful by Gillian Medoff. Cassie Quinn races to Manhattan to help her brother Billy, who's been arrested for assaulting his ex-girlfriend, as their wealthy family scrambles to protect him in a media-frenzied trial. Amid the chaos, Cassie must confront her own painful secrets while fighting to prove Billy's innocence in a world quick to judge privilege and appearance. And The Lies I Tell by Julie Clark. Meg William, a masterful con artist who assumes multiple identities to manipulate those around her, has returned after a decade, reigniting the life she once upended. Kate Roberts, who has been waiting to expose her, finds her assumptions challenged as their dangerous closeness blurs the line between victim and perpetrator.
In Love and Other Brain Experiments, neuroscientist Dr. Sibelstein has success on the brain. As a grad student, she was offered a job, but it was from her boyfriend, and she really wants to make it on her own and prove herself. So she kind of gets stuck in post-doctor purgatory with no job, no personal life, she's been at school for this whole time, and desperate for a breakthrough. She gets invited to a summer conference packed with leading scientists. She's excited to network and find opportunities. And enter Dr. North, her perceptive, meticulous, conveniently attractive rival scientist. Their sniping and arguing gets mistaken for flirtation, and suddenly her career might not have the trajectory she was hoping for. As soon as her prefrontal cortex is operational again, she needs to find solutions. Yes, thank you, worked very hard on that, yes. You're gonna love this one. In Love on the Brain, please check this one out as well. Main character B lives by a simple code. What would Marie Curie do? When NASA offers her the lead on the new neuroengineering project, she decides Marie Curie would accept without pause. Go for it. Oh, but she missed the detail, and NASA didn't exactly scream it at her, that her co-lead is her arch enemy from grad school. But he's not exactly what she remembers when they reunite, and soon has her neurons firing. Also check out the soulmate equation. Here, single mom Jess is a data and statistics wizard, but no amount of number crunching can convince her to step back into the dating world. But when she hears about this new app, Genetic Ally, a buzzy new DNA-based matchmaking company, the scientific approach might change her mind.
I'm Not the Only Murderer in My Retirement Home by Fergus Craig. In this new mystery, a reformed serial killer moves into a retirement community where all of the other residents are retired law enforcement. What could possibly go wrong? However, when a former police commissioner is killed, she must solve the case to prove her innocence. This book is being described as a darkly humorous, cozy mystery that is as entertaining as it is unexpected. My first read-alike is Jenny Cooper Has a Secret by Joy Fielding, because of its similar setting and premise. Reeling from multiple events at home, 76-year-old Linda decides to escape the tension by visiting her friend at Legacy Palace, which is a memory care facility. Here she meets 92-year-old Jenny Cooper. Cooper confesses to Linda to have killed numerous people. When a patient dies under mysterious circumstances, Linda will have to figure out if Jenny's secret is real or the musings of a departing mind. It is described as an intricately plotted psychological thriller. The other read-alike I have, An Elderly Lady Must Not Be Crossed by Helene Thurston. I think that is how that is pronounced. 88-year-old Maud is never looking for trouble, yet it always seems to find her. Untimely endings to others seem to follow her everywhere. As the Gothenburg authorities begin to get suspicious of Maud, she decides to embark on a trip to South Africa. This is a collection of 6 interlocking stories of Maud's past. It is also described as darkly humorous, slightly gritty, with a uniquely charming, dangerous main character. The next book is Pinky Swear by Danielle Girardi. This is described as a pulse-pounding thriller about a young woman, Lexi, whose best friend and surrogate, Mara, disappears just days before the baby is due. Lexi goes on a frantic search that makes her question everything she thought she knew about her best friend, their relationship, and their past in this intricately plotted, spine-tingling thriller. The first read-alike I have is A Tale for Murder by Peter Swenson, because of the similar theme of how well do you think you know somebody. In this, a newlywed librarian begins to suspect the man she married might be a murderer. It is described as twisty, devious, and cleverly plotted. Martha and Alan, I don't know where I got Arthur there, seem perfect for one another. 1 year into their marriage, however, strange little coincidences begin to become suspicious, leading Martha to question everything she thought she knew about her partner and her sanity. The next read-alike I have is She Didn't See It Coming by Sherry Laplin, also because of its similar premise of a mysterious disappearance and its general tone. In this, Brayden and Sam have it all: a wonderful daughter, a nice apartment, and the perfect careers. One day, however, Sam gets a call that his wife never picked their daughter up from school. When he arrives home, he discovers that everything is as it should be, but Brayden is gone. There seems to be no rhyme or reason. Everything is where she left it, but she's just vanished without a trace. It is described as a well-written, fast-paced, intricately plotted thriller.
In This Book Made Me Think of You by Libby Page, when Tilly Nightingale receives a call telling her there's a birthday gift from her fiance Joe waiting for her at her local bookshop, it couldn't come as more of a shock. Partly because she can't remember the last time she read a book for pleasure, but mainly because Joe died 5 months ago. The gift is simple: 12 carefully chosen books from Joe, one for each month, to help her turn the page on her first year without him. Tilly sets out on a series of reading-inspired adventures that take her around the world, but as she begins to vlog her journey, her story becomes more than her own. With help from Alfie, the bookshop owner, her budding new following, and her friends and family, can Tilly's new year of books show her how to love again. Another book that made me tear up, Grace and Henry's Holiday Movie Marathon by Matthew Norman. After losing their spouses within a year of each other, Grace White and Henry Adler form a tentative friendship during the first holiday season without their partners. As they share Christmas movie marathons and navigate grief together, their bond deepens, leaving them to wonder if it's simply comfort in shared loss or the start of something more. And in the Forget-Me-Not Library by Heather Weber, after surviving a near fatal accident, Juliet Nightingale embarks on a solo road trip, searching for what's missing in her life. A chance detour brings her to Forget-Me-Not, Alabama, where she meets newly single mom Tallulah Bird Mayfield. And together they discover that healing, happiness, and a little magic can be found in unexpected places. Operation Bounce House by Matt Danneman. Oliver Lewis just wants to run his family ranch, play music, and maintain his aging agricultural bots on the colony planet New Sonora. When the transfer gate finally opens, reconnecting Earth and New Sonora, he expects life to improve until Earth's government and the powerful Apex Corporation intervene. Promised peace, the settlers instead face an eviction action from Apex, whose priority is profit above all else. To maximize gains, Apex turns the conflict into a deadly game, letting bored Earthers design and remotely control war machines to wage battle on the colonists' land. Read-alikes are going to be Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. In 2044, teenage Wade Watts escapes his grim reality by immersing himself in the virtual utopia of the Oasis, where hidden puzzles promise immense power and fortune. When he discovers the first clue, he must race against deadly competitors, confronting both the challenges of the game and the real world he's long avoided. And also by Matt Dunneman, Dungeon Crawler Carl, my new favorite. After a cataclysm destroys and transforms Earth into an 18-level globe-spanning dungeon, survival depends not on strength but on style, followers, and clout in the deadly game show known as Dungeon Crawler World. For Carl and his ex-girlfriend's cat, Princess Donut, navigating monsters, traps, and time limits become a fight to stay alive and to entertain an audience that may hold the key to their survival.
Every Happiness is going to focus on Deepa and Rauchi, who are 12 years old when they meet at their Catholic school in India. They quickly bond. The two girls face their family's expectations and explore their own personal limits and fantasize about what their future holds. What starts as a great friendship is challenged when jealousy rears its ugly head. We read about these two later as young women who have both found husbands, moved to the States, and started families. The two families struggle with friendship and parenting and economic differences and adjusting to American life. There's tension. And ultimately, the women's relationship is put to the test when one husband's secret is uncovered. Reviews suggest a unique, complex, realistic characters facing contemporary issues, which made me think of A Guardian and a Thief. This also tackles economic struggles in modern India with flawed, difficult, down-on-their-luck characters and circumstances. Also check out Some Bright Nowhere, which explores decades of a relationship, an intimate look at a marriage as the couple copes with everything from children to cancer in their hometown in Connecticut.
Fireflies in Winter by Eleanor Shearer is a new historical fiction title. In this, Cora, a recently orphaned arrival from Jamaica, is struggling to adapt to her new home in Nova Scotia when she discovers a mysterious girl named Agnes in the woods. Agnes, however, is running from her past, and the two must figure out how to be together while her past slowly catches up with her. This is described as a gripping novel about two young women fighting for survival and freedom in the icy wilderness of Nova Scotia in the latter 18th century. A bittersweet and powerful story that explores the fragile space where Black citizens negotiate freedom. The first read-alike I have is The Prophets by Robert Jones Jr. because it has a similar premise of two individuals finding each other and trying to negotiate the little glimmers of freedom that they have. In this, two enslaved young men find hope and refuge in each other in a world ruled by vicious masters and cruelty. When an older enslaved man discovers their relationship, what once seemed simple becomes sinful and dangerous. With lyrical prose, well-drawn characters, and rich detail, this book is described as opening a window in time. The other read-alike I have is Africaville by Jeffrey Colvin, because it has a similar sense of place, historical detail, and tone. This gripping, emotionally intense family saga follows 3 generations of the Seabolt family as they settle in Nova Scotia from Jamaica and deal with the tumult of the 20th century. It's described as a multi-perspective story with well-drawn characters and richly detailed, beautiful prose.
So Grace was inspired by some traditional Irish mythology. It takes place off the coast of Ireland in a quiet, lonely island, all but forgotten, and some say there hasn't been a child born there for 30 years. Others whisper of strange, unexplained deaths. Most town people shake off the rumors and say that the dark times are behind them, but are they right? Grace, adopted at 4 years old, has never known her story. She didn't know what happened when she was young. A mysterious phone call leads her back to this island, looking for answers about her childhood. Signs of evil and warning are soon impossible to ignore. For this kind of edge-of-your-seat, high-stakes, scary story, check out A.M. Shine's previous novel, The Watchers. In this one, there's a forest that you can't find on any maps, and cars seem to mysteriously break down if they cross into the tree line. Mina doesn't know this, and so one night she's driving and her car breaks down in this mysterious tree line. She starts walking in the woods and she's gonna look for help, and she hears a woman yelling at her to get inside the house. She does, and the door closes, and all heck breaks loose behind her outside the door. At night, the watchers come above ground and take anyone not safely secured inside. Can Mina escape this house and these woods? For you scary movie fans, it is also part of our movie collection, okay? Also check out How Bad Can Things Get? In this one, there's a giant party, biggest party of the century, with exclusive guests, white sand beaches on a private island, but there's a dark legend that nobody believes to be real, and it starts to come true. Guests go missing, and soon those white sand beaches aren't pure white anymore. Family drama. Now, this is more my speed of drama. Starts in 1997, snow-blanketed New England beach, and two 7-year-olds watch confused as their mother's sent into the ocean with a Viking funeral. A raucous send-off for soap star Susan Bliss. So 15 years before her passing, Susan was an artist, a bright young woman, impossible not to fall in love with, so that's just what Professor Alcott did. Thus begins their love story and her two separate lives. One part-time in the bright lights of Los Angeles, and one part-time mom, wife in New England. Susan's twins struggle with her absence as they grow into young adults, and they deal with her memory in very different ways. Beautifully written with intertwining timelines that explore different versions of ourselves and also the versions that we share with the world. I would recommend this one, which also comes out in February from Allegra Goodman as a great read-alike. And of note, Allegra Goodman, you're the first people I'm telling this, has signed a contract, and she's going to be one of our free author events this year. Her best-selling book club pick, Isola, will be our fiction pick in March too. So check out Isola and check out her new one before she joins us in June. In this one, This Is Not About Us, it's a kaleidoscopic portrait of the modern American family. One beloved sister passes away, and the two sisters left, Sylvia and Helen, have a falling out over an apple cake. Busy with their own lives, readers will get to know the family and see if these sisters can fix it. Also, with big fans of Anne Napolito's books, would also really like this collection and these recommendations. In Hello Beautiful, we get to know William, who grew up in a quiet house shaped by tragedy, and the very different family that embraces him in college. Loud, proud, fun, joyful, and inseparable. William's a great character, and it's a great family story.
The Fourth Princess by Jenny Chang. In 1911, Shanghai, Li San Liu begins work as secretary to wealthy American Caroline Stanton at Lenox Manor, only to find the house haunted by dark visions of her own resurfacing childhood nightmares. The enigmatic gardener, Yao, unsettles her further while Caroline faces threats from an extortionist and the mysterious illness of her husband, Thomas. Lisan's life is thrown into turmoil when secrets about her hidden past are revealed, and questions from the notorious Princess Masako Kyo deepen the mystery. As strange incidents escalate, Lisan must navigate the manor's supernatural demands and uncover the truth before she loses herself completely. Read-alikes for this are going to be The Ghost Bride by Yang Shi-chu. In colonial Malacca, Li Lan is offered a place in a wealthy Lim family, but only as a ghost bride to their recently deceased son, a union that promises safety at a chilling cost. Drawn into a shadowy afterlife of vengeful spirits, ghost cities, and mysterious guardians, she must uncover the Lim family's secret and the truth about her own past before she becomes trapped there forever. And in The Vegetarian by Han Kang, young He's life unravels after haunting nightmares drive her to renounce meat, a small act of independence that disrupts her marriage and sets off a grotesque chain of events at home. As her family struggles to control her, young He descends into a disturbing estrangement from both them and herself, in a dark allegorical tale of power, obsession, and fight for autonomy. The Fox Hunt by Caitlin Breeze. When unassuming student Emma Curran wins a prestigious research fellowship, she is drawn into the glittering and dangerous world of the university elite, where she falls for the charismatic Jasper Balfour, leader of the secretive Turnbull Club. One night, the Turnbulls introduce a deadly game, a fox hunt where Emma becomes the prey. Hunted through the streets by the boy she loves, caught between her ordinary life and the perilous world, Emma is transformed into something inhuman. Gaining new powers she barely understands, now she must summon all her cunning and ferocity to survive and reclaim control of her life. Read alikes are going to be The Ordeal by Rachel Greenlaw. 20-year-old Sophie DeWinter escapes her cruel uncle's control by entering Kilmarth College, an elite academy for magic wielders, where acceptance requires surviving deadly trials, known as the Ordeals. With her illusionist skills weak, she must sharpen her magic, navigate treacherous rivals and allies, and protect both her heart and her family as hopefuls are picked off one by one. And in Stephen King's The Running Man in 2025, desperate and broke, Ben Richards enters the network's deadly games to win enough money to save his sick daughter. But on the highest rated show, survival isn't guaranteed, and he quickly becomes prey for the bloodthirsty masses watching at home.
This one promises to be a dazzling new saga from the best-selling author of Hulu. It's about the founding of Hawaii and a magical relic that links the generations of one extraordinary family. In the present, a woman is in a hospital bed being watched by her grandmother. This young woman it's been said that she jumped from the roof at the party, but that couldn't have been what happened. Grandmother begins to tell the tale of their family's history, filled with secrets, hardships, and mystery. Dating back to the 18th century, when the first European explorers landed and met the first rulers of the Kingdom of Hawaii, their family story begins, and each generation is put in charge of the puhaku, a stone with magical powers. It travels to California and beyond, bringing luck, good and bad. As it's handed down, its powers grow, and the family needs someone to harness those powers. I think fans of Homegoing would enjoy this tale. Homegoing covers 300 years of a family from Gahana, starting with sisters in the 18th century, whose lives take very different roads. Also check out Banyan Moon, the story of 3 Vietnamese American sisters reeling from the death of their mother as their love stories separate them all and take them to different places. The story starts in 1960s Vietnam and ends in the modern swamplands of Florida. Explores family inheritance, what we want to keep, and what we want to get rid of. This one's called The Optimist. You can barely see it there, but up at the top, The Optimist. Starring Mr. Keating, an extraordinary teacher, quick, brilliant, dedicated, and possibly a few pages ahead in the book that no one else is reading. He is a magician in his ability to talk to 14-year-olds about writing and literature. No student has quite lived up to their potential like his student Clara Hightower. Over 3 decades, we get to know Clara as she goes from kindergarten thief to high school genius, Silicon Valley celebrity, and animal rights activist turned terrorist. To tell Clara's story, teacher Mr. Keating will share his own, his marriage, his dreams, his days in different schools, and eventual isolation. The Optimist is described as part love story, part coming of age, part joke book, and part meditation on the meaning of life. So very complex for this one. To me, it sounds like Trust Exercise. Trust Exercise is set in the 1980s at a very competitive performing arts school. They're in their own music and art-filled and acting bubble, and 2 freshmen fall in love. No one notices except for their favorite teacher, Mr. Kingsley, and the outside world of family, economics, academic pressure, and questions about their future lead to a shocking spiral of events that will keep readers in suspense and distrust until the very last page. Also check out The Nix. This one's an epic novel about a son, the mother who left him as a child, and how his search to uncover the secrets of her life leads him to reclaim his own. This one's I Give You My Silence. Now, it's hard to make out from here, but you have the author's name on your page. He is a Nobel Prize winner from Peru who completed this novel and has since passed away. In I Give You My Silence, a writer aspires to be a professor. Here's a performance by an elusive guitarist. When he realizes how talented this guitarist really is, and the music and his effect on people, he's really drawn in. He thinks he's really profound and he's going to be a great leader. The writer begs to write a biography. He approaches the guitarist and begs him to write his biography. He wants to get to know his story. He hopes to capture the guitarist's soul, and he hopes to inspire his fellow citizens of Peru with his writing. So clearly, this is the author's final musings on the transformative power of art, as well as a love letter to his country of Peru. Reviews call it graceful and pensive. Maybe think of this year's National Book Award winner, The True Story of Raj the Gullible and His Mother. In this one, 16-year-old Raj just wants some privacy. He just wants some boundaries. He's figuring out how to be a young man, and his mother's not having any of it. He gets around her controlling, nosy nature when he accepts a writing residency in America. He explores his homeland through his writing. So, also a great family tale and a lot of appreciation for a different country. For a romantic take on obsession and music and wanting to get to know the musician, check out Deep Cuts. This starts on a Friday night over a jukebox as a music fan who knows all the deep cuts, which is where it comes from, bonds with a songwriter. Also a tale that delves into the music world.
Also similarly themed, we have Superfan. In this, Minnie is a college freshman. She is awkward and adrift and finds herself increasingly following the exploits of the boy band Hourglass. Specifically, Halo, one of the hunky, sharp-featured members who she cannot get enough of. Minnie discovers connection and a sense of belonging as she becomes more involved with the online Hourglass community. However, when a scandal threatens Halo, Minnie decides she is the only one who can protect him. This is described as an engrossing story about the power of fandom to help banish loneliness and the darker side of obsession that lurks within. The first read-alike I have is Idle Burning. It is a similarly focused story on the dark side of fandom and obsession. In this one, Akiri is an high school junior who's obsessed with Mizaki, a member of a popular J-pop group. When rumors surface that Mizaki has assaulted a female fan, she quickly decides that she must find all she can about the scandals and rumors and post about it. As the situation spirals and she attempts to protect him, she is drawn deeper into her own obsession and out of the real world. It is described as a slow burn with an emotionally intense focus on the complex contradictions of the internet for finding connection, but also separating yourself from the real world. The other read-alike I have is a little bit on the lighter side, but it does focus on the original Superfans, and that is Trekkies. It is a satirical noir-style mystery based loosely on real events, and this is written by Brent Spiner, aka Data, who receives odd, creepy letters with riddles and menacing objects from an obsessed Trekkie claiming to be Data's daughter from Next Generation. Brent Spiner must piece together the clues to figure out who this person is and why they are obsessed. It is witty, darkly humorous, and a little unsettling. And just from personally listening to this book, the audiobook, I strongly recommend it because Brent Spiner narrates and he has some fellow Star Trek friends come in to lend their voices. It's a super fun book. Yeah. And that concludes our fiction titles. We're gonna hop into nonfiction here. The first nonfiction one that we have is The Free and the Dead by Jamie Holmes. And this is about the 1817 to 1858 series of conflicts known as the Seminole Wars that took place between the United States and the tribes of Florida as the U.S. tried to rid the unclaimed territories of indigenous people and return communities of formerly enslaved blacks to slavery. This is a meticulously researched history that focuses on two men, Abraham, a freed black American, and I'm going to apologize now for my pronunciation, Osicole, an esteemed Creek warrior who worked together, as they worked together to try to save their people and their lands. It's described as a powerful and vividly written account of an overlooked chapter of American history. The first read alike I have is We Refuse to Forget. This is a meticulously researched history that tells the story of the Creek Nation. The Creek Nation is one of the few that both enslaved and accepted black people into their nation as full citizens, some of whom even became chief of the nation throughout the 1800s. And it's one of the few that the US government actually recognized, like the citizenship of both Creeks and black members. It, however, in the 1970s revoked equality and citizenship for its black members, the Creek Nation did. It is described as an eye-opening account that looks into the startling and surprising shift in tribal policy and shines a light on the long shadows of white supremacy and marginalized populations. The other read alike I have is The Seminole Wars by John and Mary Lou Mizell. This is an insightful book that provides a wealth of information about the Seminole Wars, but also the general time period, putting it into context. Most people don't realize that the Seminole Wars are actually considered the longest and bloodiest conflict between the United States and the native inhabitants of North America. It's described as accessible and comprehensive, enabling required reading if you really want to understand the conflict between the US and the native peoples.
In The Family Snitch by Wall Street journalist Francesca Fontana, she grew up, this is a memoir, she grew up with parents whose opposing worldviews shaped her early life, a mother who erased her past, and a father whose larger-than-life stories often proved to be lies, ending with his imprisonment when she was 9. After moving across the continent with her mother, Francesca began investigating her father's secret criminal past, launching The Family Snitch as a youthful experiment in journalistic inquiry. As she pursued the truth, she grappled with questions of trust, memory, and the inheritances of family secrets, consulting experts in exploring the nature of storytelling from Greek tragedies to modern media. The result is a gripping, introspective memoir that blends page-turning investigation with artful literary reflection. Read alikes for this are going to be Finding My Way by Malala Yousafzai. Thrust into a global spotlight at 15 after surviving a Taliban attack, Yousafzai became a symbol of courage while privately struggling to find her identity in an unfamiliar world. In Finding My Way, she moves beyond the headlines to share a candid, often messy journey of friendship, love, anxiety, and self-discovery, redefining what it means to be a role model by embracing her humanity. And A Truth That Is Not Peace by Miriam Toews. Prompted by a single question at a literary event, Toews unravels years of grief and guilt surrounding her sister's suicide, revealing an ongoing internal dialogue shaped by memory and loss. In A Truce That Is Not Peace, her first work of nonfiction, Toews crafts a boldly inventive and deeply humane meditation on creativity, mourning, and the impossibility of clean answers.
This is The Boundless Deep by Richard Holmes. This biography takes a new approach to understanding Alfred Lord Tennyson's early life by delving into how he wrestled with the revolutionary scientific discoveries of his youth and how they influenced him and his poetry. This biography is being described as a well-crafted exploration into his early days, painting a vivid portrait of his magnetic personality. So naturally, my first read like is a collection of his poems, because of course, if you want to understand what Richard Holmes is talking about, it's probably a good idea to read some of his poems. These are some of his notable writings throughout his life. The next read-alike I have, is Magnificent Travels by Andrea Wolfe, and that is because Tennyson is often described as the kind of a bridge between the Romanticism or Romantic movement and Victorian sensibilities. If you're going to understand how and why he wrote the way that he did and why he has gained that moniker, it's helpful to understand the movement that he helped to bridge and modernize. And that's what this book talks about, is the beginning of the Romantic movement and how it shaped future writers.
In A World Appears by Michael Pollan, he explores the enduring mysteries of consciousness, examining how our subjective experiences of the world arises and what it means to truly be aware. He brings together scientific, philosophical, literary, spiritual, and psychedelic perspectives to illuminate this central aspect of life. From neuroscientists studying the brain to researchers investigating consciousness in plants, AI, and human experience, Pollan showcases the cutting edge and sometimes radical theories shaping our understanding of mind. Ultimately, the book offers a mind-expanding journey into the nature of awareness, showing how we might use it to connect more deeply with the world and ourselves. In Before You Know It by John Bargh, Dr. John Bargh explores decades of research revealing how the unconscious mind shapes our behavior, decisions, and motivations in ways we barely notice. Drawing on groundbreaking studies in areas from relationships to consumer habits, he shows how understanding these hidden forces can transform how we think, feel, and act in everyday life. And in Humanish by Justin Gregg, Humanish explores the human tendency to attribute thoughts, feelings, and intentions to animals, objects, and even natural phenomena, revealing how this pervasive bias shapes our relationships and perceptions. With humor and scientific insight, Justin Gregg unpacks the bizarre, fascinating, and sometimes beneficial ways we humanize the non-human, showing how understanding this instinct can enrich our lives and interactions. That's for me. Leaving Home by Mark Haddon is a simultaneously heartbreaking and hilarious memoir that explores the author's childhood and adult life. Growing up with his parents, ill-suited for parenthood, but skilled in designing abattoirs and maintaining an obsessively tidy home. Amid the odd comforts of Weetabix charts, walnut whips, and baby cham, he discovers a unique perspective on the world. The book examines family, art, and the messy, chaotic nature of human life, weaving together experiences as a cartoonist and care assistant with moments of mental breakdown, papier-mâché projects, and grand adventures. Richly illustrated with altered childhood images, it is a story of escaping a place that never felt like home and learning to create a life and space that truly does. My read-alikes are going to be two works by Mark Haddon. The Porpoise, a newborn survivor of a plane crash is raised in wealthy isolation, unaware of the dark rumors surrounding her, until a visiting suitor uncovers dangerous truths and must flee for his life. Their story sparks a sweeping, adventurous tale of pirates, ghostly apparitions, and a shattered family navigating violence, grief, and love on a journey toward a place called home. And the curious incident of the dog in the night. Christopher John Francis Boone is a brilliant but socially challenged 15-year-old who knows every country, capital, and prime number up to 7,057, yet struggles to understand human emotion and cannot tolerate touch or the color yellow. His determination to solve the mysterious death of a neighborhood dog sparks an extraordinary and captivating journey in his widely acclaimed novel.
The Laws of Thought by Tom Griffith. In this book, he explores questions related to the mind and mathematics. Can we use the laws of mathematics to describe the many ways that humans think? This book attempts to provide fluency with the concepts needed to understand the world within the human mind and the complex mechanics of how AI thinks. In this accessible, groundbreaking book, Griffith explains the three major approaches to formalized thought and how the human mind differs from AI. My first read-alike is Devil in the Stacks by Andrew Smith. Because of this book's exploration into AI and coding, this is an immersive read that delves straight into the world of coding as the author tries to become a coder himself. It also walks through the history of early computing and the influence of human thought on computers in general. It's described as expansive, effervescent, and entertaining. The other read-alike I have focuses more on neurology and the human mind. It is Live-Wired by David Eagleman. It's presenting a variety of new discoveries. This book explores our understanding of the brain and its unceasing ability to rewire itself in an electrically living fabric, according to the author. It covers decades of research to present a wide and well-rounded view of how the brain works, and even the efforts to create wearable neurotech devices. It is comprehensive and accessible and provides a unique window into the biological machine just behind your eyes. And with that, that wraps up today's Books in Focus. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our next Books in Focus will be on February 10th, where we'll be talking about the hot new things coming out in March.